Today I'm with Natasha Kuznetsova. Natasha, you are an investor, a female leader, and you are the managing director of a family office based in London. Hi, Natasha. Thanks for being with me.
Hi, Fabienne. Thank you for inviting me.
So I would be interested in hearing your thoughts in terms of what will happen in the future to the industry. I mean, do you think we will see more consolidation happening?
So obviously being an MD of a single family office, I'm biased, but I genuinely see multifamily offices and single family offices are as two different cultures and different types of organization. Single family office ultimately is a service organization. It has one source of assets under management that we are then looking after as best we can. Multifamily office is a sales organization. Most, if not all, of the multifamilies I've encountered, they look at you as a potential client. Then there's nothing wrong with that, but their incentive, their ethos is servicing as many clients as you can. And I think those are two different cultures, and I don't see single family offices immediately rushing under the wing of multifamily offices.
I wanted to talk about leadership and your views in terms of how leadership is evolving in this crisis and post-COVID-19. Because clearly remote working has completely transformed the way we work, has clearly challenged the way you manage your team within the family office. I mean, how have you lived through this period of time, and what are some of the lessons you'd like to keep from that period?
I think in terms of the leadership, and it isn't even a style of leadership, it's what components and what levers of leadership have become more important for me in my personal management of this situation in the last few months. I can say that empathy and attention to the personal and emotional circumstances of my employees has become infinitely more important. Also, because everyone's circumstances are so different, it is impossible to manage people and to still require certain things of them without talking to them, without understanding what is going on in their life as a whole. So I think that was a very big change in emphasis for me. I'm not saying it was never important, but I'm saying the relative weights of, well, when did you come to the office and how much did you do today versus how are you looking after your kids, or how are you coping if you're living alone? Those things become important. I think in the long term, they generate a lot more human capital and loyalty. So I would really like to keep those, because as a family office, as a small organization, we don't offer much vertical progression. We don't offer much power and glory. But at the same time, I want to keep every one of my good people for as long as I can. So I think building this emotional and human capital is very important. And also because, well, through that experience, I realized that people can be as productive while working from home. So probably we no longer will require them being there 24/7 or 9 to 5, 5 days a week, as long as the main momentum continues. I am not a big believer in purely working from home, because I believe a lot is created by interacting with others and being in the same place. And many little tasks can be much better performed when people are collocated and sort of talk about these things. But there are certain things that can be perfectly well performed at home. And I think the balance is not gonna, well, it's gonna shift again. As long as, going back to our first point, as long as the quality of the product remains up to scratch.
I like your point about human connections and having this ability as a leader, and perhaps even more so as a female leader, to empower your team and really have that connection with them beyond just what's happening in the office, but with the accountability coming into, into the equation as well to make it work clearly. So it's an
So
interesting.
I think it's an iterative process whereby you need to, as with everything, it's a fine line between building personal connections yet remaining professionally accountable. And I think if we manage to find this kind of golden ratio of both, I think it would really drive the performance and culture and loyalty forward.
So Natasha, as a female leader, when you reflect on your journey to date, what are some of the most important components, the things that really helped you most to get to where you are today?
Well, it's a big one. Well, thank you first of all for complimenting me as that I'm in the right place, which I really do feel I am. I think it is the absence of the inhibitions that exist now. I can see more and more, whether it's between men and women or between certain backgrounds, etc. I think I never had this fear that probably many females have now in the business world of should I not try the new thing? Should I or should I not? Am I worthy? Is it going to work out? So I think mine is, whether from the upbringing in the socialist society where everyone was equal, or from my family that kind of assigned me a very male discipline to study. It was never a challenge to say, oh, would I be worthy of the challenge? Would I be worthy of the task? It was always like, well, let's try and see how it goes. And I believe that taking these steps without too much of a looking back allows you to build up the competencies that you require, build up ultimately the experience and the knowledge that becomes more and more valuable. So it becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, but without trying new things and with too much fear or timidity, if you like, I don't think I would have ended up where I am right now, because my career is very eclectic, and every new step was pretty hard to predict if you looked at where I was previously. So I think, well, I started in marketing in Coca-Cola Russia, and then ended up running a single family office in London. So I think it was a very non-linear career.
Driven by your passion, by your choices?
Driven by the desire to always grow, to always find intellectual challenges, to always find managerial challenges, to basically to say yes to stuff. And it will come across as a very probably cheesy, but it's sincerely to listening to your gut, to what is interesting for you. It may not be interesting for your best friend. It may not sound interesting for your husband. It may not sound interesting for your colleagues, but you know what you want to do. So you just go and do it. And then if you're wrong, fine. It's a line on your resume. My CV runs 3 or 4 pages. It's okay.
So I would like to ask you, Natasha, where next on your journey?
It's a very good question. And I am being asked that question by mostly headhunters. And my answer to them, and it is 100% sincere again, hopefully nowhere. I absolutely love my job because it is so diverse, because it truly empowers me to make decisions, to try new things. But at the same time, it puts enormous responsibility on me as like one person and my very small team, that every day there is a new little thing for which I can respect myself for trying and doing it. Yeah, of course we fail, but still, even for failures, I don't imagine looking for a place that would have a better application to what I want to do in life.
Very nice. You found your home. Very nice.